r/askreddit, what's the creepiest / scariest thing that you've seen but no one believes you? Serious. The sturgeon were resurgent. When I was about 13. I was laying on my bed, and something punched twice from underneath. Like solid punches I could feel through the mattress. Loud thuds. Almost lifting it. My dad was downstairs watching TV. First thought was to look under the bed for my brother. There was no one under there. And there wasn't enough clearance to swing a proper punch anyway. Still don't know what happened to this day. Probably the housings that the mattress springs are in that failed. I saw the Mothman by the lake in Chicago a few years back, but the craziest part was he imposed a great sense of ease, he'll say, upon me. Almost like he was looking out for / over the area. I have heard that Mothman may be similar to a banshee. He doesn't cause the death or terrible incident, but is instead warning people to be aware and prepared for something to happen in the near future. I lived on the 5th floor of a very old apartment building while attending school. It was small apartment, 3 rooms, with a single entrance. I was laying in bed reading a textbook when I looked up because of some movement. It was a tall, slim middle-aged man, dressed in 1800s clothes. He walked diagonally through the room, lifting the edge of his hat in greeting, and disappeared as he walked through the closet door. I had heard about weird things happening in this building and mentioned this to a neighbor who just stared at me. What a gentleman. I saw a legit UFO in 1985, don't laugh, it's true, I'm still shook. It literally was right above us and 2 other people with me saw it. Were you drinking on a road fresh out of high school and one buddy started crying and you still bust his ass after all these years? Seen a comment earlier about UFO in 1985. January 1st, 2000. Just past midnight, I was ringing in the new year with the family when I glanced out the living room window and saw a group of people wearing black robes and hoods passing by in complete silence while holding lanterns. No one else saw them but me, but it's something I never forgot. I often wondered who they were. In Phoenix, AZ, 3 times I have seen a jackrabbit the size of a border collie. Wife and kids were there too. I thought it was a mountain goat from about 100 feet, then it fucking hopped away casually. How? 3 times. Just the nearby New Year's orgy letting out. Moved into a house that is almost 100 years old, and after about a year of living there, one day I was sitting alone painting some figurines when Alexa blurts out, "Yes, Diana." It is Jimmy's favorite song and then proceeds to play Beethoven's 5th Symphony. Diana is the name of the lady who previously owned the house and has been dead for about 5 years. Jimmy was her cello-playing husband who, after Diana died, moved into a senior assisted living community. Alexa has got to go. I watched a UFO flying random pattern for an hour when I was 12. It split into 4 objects, and they continued. A buddy and I were watching a bad horror movie back in VHS days, Witchboard starring Tawny Kitaen. Sitting on his living room couch in a dark house when a man walked past the TV and down the hall and disappeared. I asked my friend if he saw it too and he said yes, it's the ghost that lives here. I remember that movie. My rentals never came with a free dead guy though. I saw a person disappear in a flash. I was watching this guy on his phone cause his jacket was cool and then poof, he disappeared. It was so unnerving. What did his jacket look like? Time traveler. My uncle was driving in a nowhere road and he saw a child waving his arms on top of a car that's been submerged in a lake. He shouted at him to get him help, but the kid kept waving his arms and not replying. Then when my uncle went back to the truck to get a rope or something, the child and the car were gone. It was weird. Maybe there is one out there and it's the equivalent of an 8 tall human and you just keep seeing the same one. I knew this guy from childhood. And his wife from McDonald's. We met up and I invited him over for a few beers. Apparently he was addicted to meth, and Felicia I already knew died with suspicious circumstances. He gets a couple beers in and confesses to me he killed her. I asked a few people later what I should do. They said if the police don't care, it is what it is, he's on meth, who knows. No one cares. He confessed to me he murdered his wife. I once saw someone without a head at a church when I was a child. It happened during a mass. My family and I were seated on the right side. On the left side of the row, I noticed a girl, judging by her clothes, without a head. I've often wondered if I was the only one who witnessed it. Ugh, that's Suzanne, don't ask her about it or she will never stop talking. Maybe somebody untied her ribbon? Driving down small woodsy back roads with a friend and saw a pair of ghost legs walk across the road and disappear. We're dead silent for a good half hour, too scared to ask the other if they saw the same thing. I think that is restless leg syndrome. Went night swimming in the Ottawa River with friends. A massive fish touched me and I saw a large fin. It looked like it was the size of me. No one else saw it, or seems to really believe me.